Is work with two windows. So I'm just going to go to Window, Arrange, and a new window. This gives me a second window, so I can zoom way in close in this window while observing the icon at its native resolution in this window. Another couple of things on the zoom window. I'm going to zoom into 1600%. And this, in older versions of Photoshop, this was the closest you could zoom in. But CS4, I think it gets up to 3200. But 1600 is all you need. In my bigger window, a couple of things. Make sure your rulers are set to pixels, not inches. So if you right-click or control-click on there, you can choose whatever you want and just pick the pixels. You're going to want to snap. And make sure Snap to Grid is checked here under the Snap under View. And another thing you want to do is under your Preferences, Units and Guides, Grids, and Slices. I like to have a grid line every 8 pixels with 8 subdivisions so that I can see groups of 8 by 8 pixel sections in the icon. You'll see why that's helpful in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go to View and Show Grid. So now what you see is an 8 pixel grid subdivided into 8 lighter pixel grids. You don't see it in the other window, which is a good thing. You don't want this stuff interrupting what you see over here. And I'm focusing just on this area here. This is that 60 by 16 pixel canvas that I want to work with. So I'm going to use, just for a simple demonstration, I'm going to choose a rounded rectangle, and I'm going to draw it inside this section here. And you can see there's a style that's been applied to it already, and I'll talk about that style in a minute. But a couple things to notice that when I was drawing that rectangle, it was snapping to the pixel grid that's there. And if you don't have that turned on, this is a common problem. If that snap isn't turned on, and you draw that shape, you're going to get the edge of that vector hanging between two of the pixels. And what you end up with is really funky anti-aliasing. It softens your icon. So you really need to make sure that that snap is turned on. Okay, so I'm just going to start over with this again. And I'm going to clear the layer style just so I can show you how step by step what I did here. So we've got this green color. What I was doing for these icons was building them all at 50% brightness here. So basically 50% with 0 saturation, which gives me a 50% gray. All I did was I double-clicked on that color thumbnail there. So however you want to make that shape at 50% gray, that's the color of the outline that you see in all these icons, is 50% gray. So then under Effects, now I don't use the Effects palette much. I do most of my effects with layers, and I draw them in myself using gradients and stuff. Rather than go through all that, this is a pretty close approximation to what I would do. So I'll go through each one. First, let's go with a stroke. And each one is a 1 pixel inside, and color would be 50% here. Okay, a gradient overlay, which would give you, now just one thing to note is this is a really small screen. I'll come back to that in a minute, but you can see that I've got my working canvas over here with my preview over there. So that's really helpful because I can see what I'm doing up close over here, but also see what it's going to look like. So, now I actually built a file that you can download and it has this effect already pre-built. So I'm not going to talk too much depth about what I'm doing right now. But it's basically a gradient overlay on top of that. And it's got a little more dynamic to it, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that. And then a drop shadow, really subtle. So basically, once you have that style down, you can copy that style and paste it to whatever shapes you draw for your icon. And then once you've made your icon, it's pretty scalable at this size. Let's call it sample icon. Because it's built as a vector shape in Photoshop, you can scale it up or scale it down, and you'll have pretty good success with how it looks. Let me change this. So now I'm done with my icon for my plugin. I want to make a 32 pixel version. So I would just go to image size, and I'm just going to double this to 64 by 64. And you can see that it scales up pretty nicely. One thing I wanted to show you really quick, image size. When you do scale it, if you use this method, don't turn on scale styles, because if you do that, it's going to it makes the stroke 2 pixels wide instead of 1 pixel, which it originally was. You want to keep that thin 1 pixel wide border. All right. So that's in a nutshell how I do the icons over here. Now there's a lot of little details to it. These little drop shadows, you can't do that with an effect, a layer effect. So you are going to have to go in if you want to make it look even closer. You're going to have to make new layers and try different gradients and stuff. But if you just want to get it down to dirty icon that looks close enough and doesn't stray too far from the icons that are in here, then that's the way to do it. You'll notice when you roll over, they change color. So you can create a new layer. Just duplicate the layer and hide the first one. And basically change your gradient overlay. Instead of a gray in the middle here, I would probably go with a whatever color I want it to be. And that would be its rollover state. Okay, so that's just a quick way of it. Are there any questions?
Where's the PSD available?
PSD is on my blog, so you can go to Dunkle.com. I just put it up there today. It's right here, icon effect, so you can download that and use it. When you do save out the icon, PNG file format, and crop it down to the 16 pixel by 16 pixel size. Don't try to use a 32 by 32 pixel at that point. Okay, any more questions? Oh, and also if you want me to design your icon, I'll do it for free if you have a open source plugin. Just let me know via email.
Sweet.